Well, folks, here with the announcement that happened today, we've got a big announcement from the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister, Grant Robinson. Is he the Deputy Prime Minister? Anyway, they
Yes,
both
he
got on
is.
the podium today. He is. Thanks, Vaughan. Yep, and we got Vaughan here. The good news is there's some good news there for small business, and there's some hope that we're going to get some more help to get us through this. There's also some big begrudging news. 90% of the population in a DHB environment, like in Auckland, there's 3 DHBs. If you get 90% fully vaccinated, then you can move on to the traffic light system. And what does that mean? That means businesses can open, but only in accordance with the traffic light system, which has 3 different grades to it. Vaughan, what did you think overall in the package?
Yeah, well, look, hey, as far as I'm concerned, it's got a tick. So that's better than a cross. We've sat on our seats since Monday when we told this announcement. We were told this would be announced today. In between time, daily cases have cracked 100, and we've been warned that they'll go to closer to 200. So Delta's here to stay. Okay, before we start, there's one thing I'll also say. Man, am I sick of the word modelling? We're not toys. We're not a hobby. We're real humans. So I wish they'd just drop that. Secondly, the traffic light system. There's a saying, and that is, if you can't explain something clearly, you obviously do not understand it. And I think the traffic light system is a good example of that. It looks and smells to me, for all intent, like a prototype that's been launched too early. So go back to the drawing board, get it right, bring it back out when you're ready, and it's easy to understand. Right now, people look at each other and go, what did he or she say there? So that's that. Okay.
Well,
so
I did. Let me just add a bit in there. What I noticed from the Prime Minister, she didn't go into details about the traffic light system. Although you've told me you've done the thorough research that is actually online. But what I found is it's kind of a patronising manner. She's going, well, I don't want to confuse the poor people out there, so I'm not going to give them too much detail today, and they can look it up for themselves. Well, Prime Minister, there's a position available in the Wiggles right now, and we really would think that you could qualify for that. But look, getting past that, we're very happy to see some benefits in there. So, Vaughan, what else was there that we could be happy about?
Yeah. And just to close off on the traffic light system, in terms of a stop, go, pause, wait, or whatever, we're really talking about districts. If they time the target, the 90% target to DHBs, then you're talking about districts, but I suppose the only lights that are used to explain districts are red light districts, and you don't want that there with vaccination, do you? So you kind of have to. So I suppose they chose the lesser of two evils. Okay.
Let me just add one more point. One of the things they said, once we get beyond the 90%, the threshold, we go into the traffic light system. But what that will mean is the use of the passports. Now, she used that word passports. So what Matt probably says to me, if you're not vaccinated, you don't join the community. You're not allowed into all sorts of premises and businesses. But that'll be the detail in the traffic light system.
Yeah. Hey, Max, and rightfully so. A vaccination certificate will provide freedom to the double vaccinated, double vaxxed. Look, the full vax rate 90%. That's the target. We all understand 90%. So good news, we've got that. Will be reviewed on November 29. Auckland, if we hit 90% before November 29, we're going to be let out of prison. So fantastic. That's good news. So the roadmap actually now has a clear marker point on it. Well done, because the roadmap we got 2 weeks ago kind of was a bit empty, a bit vague and innocuous.
Look, I'll just put my little bit in there if you don't mind, Vaughan. Yeah, I like the fact that there is finally we got a plan. We know what the milestone is that we got to get to. I would have still preferred a date, because I think it's going to be very difficult to get this last small proportion, like in Auckland, 16,000 people. On Saturday, Super Saturday, there wouldn't be a person in New Zealand who hasn't had a chance to get vaxxed. And look, if they're saying no now, what's going to change their mind now that we're actually easing up on the demands?
Yeah, but it's good that the vax rate is the measurement, and we're not at the mercy of daily cases or anything like that. We've actually chosen something, put it on the roadmap. And I think to put the 29 November, the date, into context, as of last night, we were 66.2% double vaxxed in New Zealand. We're rising at a rate of just under 1% a day. So November 29 is actually realistic. So I know it's still too long for a lot of businesses to wait, but the reality is they've taken a position. They've given us a target and a goal. So that is that.
What I picked from the 29th, Vaughan, was that they're going to review what their decision was today. So it's to hold us on the edge of our seats again to the 29th. And again, it's to get our eyes on the TV in front of them again so we can hear them. Because today I measured it, there was a 4.5 minute of build-up, and how wonderful we've done as a government to really lead us through this terrible time. And I
Yeah,
just
Max,
irritates me.
I agree. I agree that we could have our hearts broken on November 29, but my feeling is, well, December 1 is 48 hours later, and it'll be something like midnight X December, and then all of a sudden, retailers that rely on the Christmas roll in those, it's like we're giving something to the business community. I can kind of see what some of the logic is of hopefully having good news on November 29. So let's remain relentless optimists. And November 29 is when we get our detention bracelets taken off our ankles and we're allowed out of house arrest. And
Right, let's hope, Vaughan. I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic, but I got to say, it just seems to be dragging on this 10 weeks of lockdown.
Time will tell. We're a month away, 5 weeks away from that. Okay, additional to that, there's two other things in here that are significant. Number one, the second thing, two other things, is the mental health support package that has been set up. I'll let you talk about that because you're very close to some disasters in that area. So fantastic. The government's actually done something in that area to support small businesses. And the other one is business resurgence being doubled to $43,000, paid fortnightly instead of 3 weekly. That is great news as well. Yep. So those are two wins and improvements.
Let's just get into those two details. Mental health, $10 million. That $10 million will be then imparted onto, wait for it, EMA and or Business New Zealand and Michael Barnett will distribute the money as they seem fit. And look, I know that concerns you, Vaughan, and it does me. But I would say that, hopefully they'll find other people to distribute the money properly because I don't believe they see what I see. Do you know, only this week, Vaughan, I got a call from a man who's on the verge of breaking. He said, I can hardly face my children. I'm really broken. I've let them down. I've failed them. My business is broke. I have to go to Wins now to feed them, and I'm absolutely broken, man, and I don't know what to do, Max. All I want to do is just get away and actually go for a drive, just to give the family a rest from me and give them from me because I am depressed. That poor man needs mental health.
Yeah, Max, you've let the genie out of the bottle as far as I'm concerned in terms of referring to the effectiveness of EMA, Business New Zealand, business chambers, rolling out a small business program. Look, quite frankly, everybody who's really in the small business community knows that the small business database within those organizations is absolutely tiny. And so I don't know how they think they're going to get to the coalface. Whilst they command a position of respect as spokespeople for the business community, every time someone who is at the coalface of the small business community that hears small business words come out of those advocacy organizations roll their eyes and go, well, who the heck are they speaking to out here? Because small business today, I can tell you, 99% of all new small businesses do not sign up to the chambers or the EMA or Business New Zealand. They don't sign up to anything. They want everything for free. So world's changed. And I thought about it, Max. It's like going back to the 1970s. I remember when my dad was the president of the local Lions Club. That's the era of the EMA, the chambers, and not so much Business New Zealand because they evolved out of that, but Rotary clubs. That's when you actually dressed up and went along to these things and rubbed shoulders. The digital transformation, which those organisations haven't really digitally transformed, has left them behind. Now, this is not like actually a knock. It's just saying, hey, don't use a hammer to change a light bulb. It's the wrong tool for the job.
I can give you personal experience on that. I worked for EMA, which is Business New Zealand, for 11 years. I worked at the ground floor where I dealt with disputes, arguments, strikes, lockouts, all those hard things. And that's where I was. In that 11 years, not once was I asked my opinion. Not once was I asked what the people are asking. And the leaders who were then talking to government every day, and which I assume is happening now, don't really know what's happening on the ground floor. They don't even ask their people.
Yeah, and in terms of a hands-on advisor, myself and probably 5 or 6 others here in Auckland, I don't know of any that work with more small businesses, and I can tell you that none of them are members. None of them.
Okay.
So
let's move on. The resurgent payment, I'm just going to say that it's been doubled, and that's fantastic news. And it'll be paid fortnightly, not monthly. I think it is now, but fortnightly, and double the amount. So I believe that was $800 per week extra for small business.
Yeah.
And also, I think the numbers for if you got an FTE. Let me just get the numbers right here. So if you've got an FTE of one of them, it's $800 per week. Yeah. And that's paid fortnightly, guys. And that's massive, massive dollars extra that'll be in your pocket.
Yeah, look, full credit to the government for really looking at that, because that's targeting the business, not the employee. That's actually the overall business, even though there's an FTE support in there. So fantastic. That is a real standout. And look, on this note, we're talking about the government in this session, but the reality is that it was tactical, and it's typical in politics that the opposition released their economic recovery plan the day before this announcement. And you can absolutely see that some of the initiatives the government has used are the identical initiatives that are sitting over. So clearly, the advocates that work with the government are the same advocates that are working with the opposition, running with the hares and hunting with the hounds, working on the basis, well, if they can't get it over the line, they will. I actually think some of the things that are in the National Economic Plan will end up being used by the government.
But wait, there's more. The government have got more to offer. So what they've offered also is, and small business people, you want to take hold of this, that's to go out and get advice, professional advice. And if you want to go and talk to an accountant or a lawyer, particularly now if you're actually at the point of break, and you can't afford it, you probably got no cash at all, you don't think you can afford it, then you'll be able to go and get assistance for that. Now wait for it, up to $3,000 you can get for just advice alone. And then the next thing is, if you're going to implement any actions that the professional may say, for example, I put a website up or something like that, there's another $4,000 that you can claim. So guys, I would certainly recommend you out there, if you've got a small business now, to lean on that, grab what you can, and take full use of it, because professional help is exactly what you need right now in these unusual circumstances.
Yeah, brilliant, Max. And so, I think in just terms of a quick wrap up there, great news that there's actually a definitive guideline that's been given. We know where we stand. So, let's knock this out of the ballpark. I think the thing that probably we could have given more focus to, but it's a whole other session, talking about Auckland specifically, because what we've talked about is a national situation, nationwide.
All right, now Vaughan's done this to death, but when you guys are going out there, when you've got to get professional help and assistance, be careful of those charlatans who are out there looking to make a buck out of this. So, and Vaughan, it's in your sector. There's $120 million being given to Maori just to get them vaccinated. I would say out of that will be some opportunists who will go in. I'm an expert on this field. Hey, you guys, just give me a quick $5 million now, and I'll go out and I'll get a few people vaccinated. Well, I'd just be cautious, I think, and then.
Yeah,
mental health's another area where charlatans step into it, and other particular areas as well, and also professionals. But what I'd suggest you do is ask them, what experience have you got? What qualifications have you got? Can you send me 2 or 3 of your references so I can ring them and have a talk to them to ask about your performance?
Yeah. Max, you mentioned about the support there for Māori, and as you know, that's the sector that I work in. But let's talk about this in generally. I'll use Māoridom as an example. I consult HTK Group, and I only consult with HTK Group to the Māori sector is because it's Māori owned, 100%, Māori advisors, 100%. We work with Māori small businesses, 100%. Therefore, we're an expert in our field. Taking that wider across advisory, and actually I'll just finish off with Māori, there are a lot of advisors out there that are businesses that just happen to have Māori names. They just, it's window dressing. Go over to advisory. There are people that have jumped in there because they're tapping into public funding, because clearly they wouldn't cut the mustard in private sector. And so this is the thing, as you said, Max, background check, Google the shit out of them, talk to peers, ask respective businesses that they've actually consulted with, use that. That's where you smell the sweat. So good call, Max.
Yep. And so, look, there's some good news just to go through it very quickly. Resurgent payment doubled. You're going to get some assistance for professional help, and there's quite good money there, $3,000 and $4,000. So I would say use it. And there's nothing in terms of wage support, but the mental health, there's some money there for you as well. And I'd strongly urge you to use it. If you're feeling a bit depressed and need some help, look, grab the government's offer and go and get yourself some help. Look, Vaughan, thanks very much. And I'm going to try and sign off without you getting a final word.
I will let you have that. It's my honor to let you have the final word.
Bugger.